What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Let's Build the U.S.S. Voyager Season 1, Episode 14. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we're going to be picking up right where we left off from Episode 13, working on filling in the rest of our lower hull. By the end of today's episode, we're going to have this bottom lip filled in, and we'll also have the sides filled in all the way up to our outline of our shuttle bay. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. Today's about a 17-minute episode. I talked about this in the last episode, that our process right now, we're literally just following our cut line, filling in our hull on the sides. I've got this up in this part of the build specifically just to ensure that those that need it have it. But again, I probably, to be honest with you, this part of it I could have maybe have gone through and just did the very just basic wireframe of it and told you guys what level to bring it up to. But it is what it is, so we're just going to let this ride out. But the majority of this tutorial, about 98 to 99% of it, with some of the mundane stuff we won't be doing this live. I'll just skip past it. But I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because once we do get to the shuttle bay, we are going to have to make some slight adjustments. But don't worry, I got you guys. So right now we're literally just going with our cut line on the sides to match up, and also bringing that all the way up to our top row. Don't worry about blending it in. That's going to be a future step in what we'll be doing on Voyager. We're not looking too bad. We're making steady progress. All things considered, we're only on episode 14, and we've gotten a decent chunk of the ship done. So I'm pretty happy with the progress that we're making so far. I'm not sure how many episodes Season 1 of Voyager is going to end up being, but it's not going to be a ton. It might end up falling in line with where I was like on the Cerritos. So we might end up in like the mid to high 40s, 50s maybe. We'll see. We'll have to play it by ear. I think when I went through all my recordings and averaged it out, I think I had it in somewhere at like 57 episodes. But bear in mind, that's just going off of an average. My recordings can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 8 to 10 minutes long. It just depends specifically what I'm working on, because when I'm making a point to do, that if I'm not actively building something, I stop recording. This way it cuts down on the editing that I have to do. And I also try to cut back as far as the mundane stuff, with an exception of our outline, or not necessarily our outline, but closing in the lower hull, the walls on it. But yeah, I was saying this in the last episode, a lot of you are probably just going to be able to skim past this, and that's okay. I've got this up specifically for those that need it, but it just kind of is what it is, you know what I mean? I wanted to make sure. I need to just work on getting my process down just a little bit more. I could have maybe planned this out a little bit better as far as how I was going to do it and how I was going to explain it. That's something I'm actually actively working on when I'm doing my tutorials. You'll see more of that with the Excelsior 2 class, and then even more so with the Enterprise A 1.1. Because those are both builds that I'm currently working on right now. And my main goal, where I'm trying to get to a point where I can basically not have it take nearly as many episodes to get through a build. I want to try to narrow that down to basically the the shortest time that I possibly can, but also still going over all of these steps at the same time. It's not necessarily easy to do. I think this is probably why you don't see a lot of people doing tutorials on starships, because it can be tricky sometimes building these out. But I've been fortunate enough that I've built enough of these ships that even if I make a mistake, that I can troubleshoot it and go through a trial and error period until I can build something out that maybe it's not perfect, but I'm happy enough with it that I can live with it. That doesn't necessarily always happen. A lot of the times I end up with almost exactly what I want most of the time. There's a couple of small areas here and there with Voyager that I wasn't like 100% happy with, but it's okay. I'm probably just being a little hard on myself in that regard, because I'm probably my own worst critic when it comes to builds. I try to do the very best that I can, and if I'm not happy with it, I'll totally redo it. But basically what we're doing right now, we're just filling in, going row to row, following our cut line, and I'm basically going to bring this out until we get to the wireframe outline of our shuttle bay. Now bear in mind, the wireframe for the shuttle bay is just a stand-in template. The same thing with the backbone for our neck. I think we're going to make one or two more adjustments to that before we fall on what we need to. That's one of the things too, like there was maybe one or two things I could have done better with Voyager. One of which would have caused me to have rebuilt a good chunk of the lower part of the lower hull. Basically what I should have done is line up my cut with outline for the sides of the lower hull with the cut for the neck. We do kind of go back and do that, but I could have planned it out a little bit better in a way that I could have gotten the blending just a little bit nicer, because you guys will see it even on the tour. When you look at Voyager from the side, she looks wonderful, but when you start to zoom up in the air and look down, there's a couple of small areas between the neck and the lower hull where the blending isn't as good as what I would have wanted it to have been. But it's okay, you know, you live and you learn. I'm not trying to get perfection out of these builds. My main goal is just to have some fun, and hopefully somebody else will come across this tutorial or this Let's Build semi-tutorial that wants to learn how to build a ship like this, and you've got an abundance of content to show you exactly how to do it. But you know, all the steps that we're doing right now, these aren't set in stone steps. This is just what I've come across and what I like to do that I think helps me to build these ships out in the best way that I can do it. But there's 1,001 different ways to do this. If you're not set on the pattern that I'm using on the sides, do something different. Do what you think will look good. This is just an idea of what you can do. And if you're coming across, this is your first episode seeing my tutorials, and you think Voyager might be a little bit too much for you, start off with one of my mock builds, or build a small ship. I'm going to have more small builds that'll be coming up in the future, and I need ideas, so drop a comment below with stuff that you guys want to see. But that's really the best thing that I can suggest for new people that are coming in that have never built just things of this scale before, whether it's a starship, house, or whatever. My best recommendation is to start off small and move your way up to bigger builds. This way you have a smaller overall area that you have to work with, and if you make mistakes or there are things that you need to correct, it's not going to take you nearly as long to make corrections to it. That's why I say, like my mock tutorial for the Enterprise A and the Enterprise D, those are both great because it gets you into the meat of it as far as building these ships out, but it's on a scale where if you still make mistakes, you can make changes to it in a relatively short period of time without it messing anything up. we're we've only got a couple more rows to do. So we're looking pretty good. We're almost to the outline of our shuttle bay. And then from there, we've just got, I think, a couple of tweaks that we'll make to that. And then we're going to close in the bottom of the belly that's still open. So we're just going to let this play out. Trying to think of what else we have coming up. Of course, I've got the Enterprise A 1.1 to Let's Build that I'm working on right now for when we hit 1,000 subscribers. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's been people that have been asking me to build that ship for a while. That's one of the first builds that I promised the community that I was going to do when I first started doing my YouTube videos. I ended up holding off on doing it because I wanted to get better at doing tutorials before I actually went back and built that ship. So it'll be really cool to get into that because it'll be me keeping my promise for one. And I'm actually really excited for you guys to be able to see that because I'm actively building that right now. And I'm really excited as far as how it's turning out. I think it's probably going to be one of the best Constitution class ships that I've built so far, if not the best one, because I feel like I've learned a lot from building between now and the time that I built my original Enterprise A. But with that being said, there's going to be some elements of design cues from that version of the Enterprise as far as my cut lines that you'll probably notice for those of you that are attention to detail and you catch stuff like that. That was just something that I came across when I was actually rebuilding the Enterprise A, where I noticed, because what I really wanted to do is that I just wanted to come up with a completely new template, and the majority of it right now is completely new. But as I was starting to flesh out my lower hull, I noticed that whatever I came up with for my new cut line to get that angle, it wasn't coming out quite as good as what I had done originally for the Enterprise A, from Star Trek Beyond. So what I ended up doing was actually referenced that template to kind of help me to get in a direction where I can get the shape that I really wanted. And I think you guys will be happy with it. Like I said, you can go on my Discord right now if you want to see the progress on that build. I probably will have like an update video or two out between now and the time that we hit 1,000 subscribers to get people excited about it and to show you guys the progress on it. But I'm not going to do any tutorials on it or put out a tour episode until we hit 1,000. So I'm really going to be saving that for when that happens. And yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. But alright, I want to get back into what we got going on here. You can see we finally caught up with the outline for our shuttle bay. And what I'm doing is I'm just continuing my cut right up until that row. I'm bringing it all the way back. So that top row I could have maybe brought over one more. So we'll work on blending that in, but we've got our sides in. You can see what I'm talking about here on the sides where I'm saying Voyager's got some heft to her. Like I said, we'll be trimming that up to really get her where she needs to be. So now what we're going to do, we're going to come back, and this access that we have left over now from our original outline for where our shuttle bay was going to be, we're going to get rid of that. Because we need to work with the outline that we have presently for the sides of our hull. I need to get rid of that block right there. Okay. So now we can start to envision more of what we're going to have to do. Because what I've done is that I've intentionally not built out this top part here, because we have to blend in, we have to build our neck and blend that in with the saucer and then the lower hull. That's the challenge that we're going to have in this area here, and that's why I haven't built any of that out yet, because I'm trying to plan ahead, and we're just going to more or less do that all at once. Alright, so we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to shave off a little bit more off the top row here. First couple of rows, because I'm trying to anticipate how our cut's going to be coming down, and I don't want it coming this far back. I might even need to take off a couple of more. This is why you make just a few changes at a time. And if you're in a position like this on your own builds, my suggestion is to make multiple save files. This way, if you make a change and you're not happy with it, you don't have to worry about trying to rebuild exactly what you have. You can just delete the most recent save where you made that change and go back to that old save file. This way you don't have to worry about any of that. This is something that I do when I'm experimenting, when I'm trying out a new template, but I'm not sure if I'm even going to use it or if it's going to come out good. I'll test it out first before I even record it, just to check. I don't do that all the time, believe it or not. Most of the time, I actually build this stuff out freehand, but every once in a while, like if I build it out and I'm not happy with it, and I go back and do it again and I'm still not happy with it, then on that third attempt, it's like, okay, I'm going to stop, I'm going to take my time here, and I'm going to test out a couple of things to see what's going to work the best. So now we're going to start filling in the belly here. You can see that I'm just going to build it off of the lip, but I'm only going to bring it right up to the cut line to where the sides of the ship and the belly meet. I'm not going to fill in this whole ship. Or excuse me, I'm not going to fill in the whole belly, especially in the middle. We're literally just going to fill in the gaps. And we're just building it off of that bottom lip. And we're going to fill all of that in. So this way, when you're done filling it in, it's going to look like one completed piece. And we're going to do this going all the way around, fill all of this in. So we're not going to build this out live, because if we sat here and did this, it would probably be another 5 to 10 minutes or so. I'm going to do a couple of rows to give you guys an example, but again, you're only going to want to bring it up to the cut line. So this way they look like they're blended together, but you're not building over anything, and we have all that space to use up for if we do a season 2. But I think that's going to do it for me today. We've gotten a decent amount of work done for episode 14. If you have any questions regarding today's episode, please drop a comment below. Definitely love hearing from everybody. If there's any build ideas that you have for any small builds that you guys would like to see me do that I can do in maybe 1 or 2 episodes, drop a comment below. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode, and I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.